Yeah. So now in today's class, we will see like what are the different quadrants we have. Okay, so we have already know now like what are the coordinates of the point P, right? Abscissa and the ordinates, right? So now what are the quadrants, right? So if we just draw the Cartesian plane, right? Look at here. We have drawn the Cartesian plane, suppose, right? So you can see there are two perpendicular axes, right? The x-axis, this is x, O, x dash. Similarly, y-axis, y, O, y dash. Okay, right. So these are the two mutually perpendicular axes, x-axis and y-axis. Now, you can see that these two perpendicular axes divide this whole Cartesian plane. What is this Cartesian plane? This plane of the paper on which I have drawn these lines. It is divided this whole plane into four parts. Can you see that? 1, 2, 3, 4. Right. So these two mutually perpendicular lines or axes, the coordinate axis, divided, it is divided this whole Cartesian plane into four parts. Right. Okay. Or you can say into four regions. And each region is called quadrant. What it is called? Quadrants. So how many quadrants are there in the Cartesian plane?
Quadrant.
How many quadrants are there? In how many
4.
quadrants? Yeah. So there are four
4.
quadrants, right? Okay. So the name of the quadrant is, this is the first quadrant, second quadrant, third quadrant, and fourth quadrant, right? These are fixed. These are the names of the quadrants. There are four quadrants. For the first quadrant, what will be the value of x and y? Means x coordinate and the y coordinate for the point. So x in this quadrant is always greater than 0, and the y coordinate will also be always greater than 0. So x is greater than 0, y is greater than 0. What does it mean? That if there is any point which lies in this quadrant, suppose this is the point P1 lying in this quadrant, the value of x and y for this point will be greater than 0. Understood? Whatever will be the value, it is greater than 0. Why is it so? Because for this quadrant, we have like positive values of x, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and similarly here for the y, 1, 2, 3, okay, 4, and 5, so on, right? Okay, so if we find out the coordinate for this point, you will see that the value of x and y are greater than 0. So both x and y are positive here, okay, right? So x is positive and y is positive. Getting that? For first quadrant. Is that clear? Now, for the second quadrant, look at the second quadrant, right? Now, let me write the values of x here, -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, -6, right? If suppose there is a point here, suppose there is a point here, P2, right? So for this point P2, value of y coordinate will be positive, but the value of x coordinate is negative, right? So if you draw a perpendicular over here on the x axis, you will find the value of x is negative. Getting that? Whereas value of y coordinate is positive. Okay, right. So what will be the values of x and y here? X is less than 0, but y is greater than 0. Okay, that means x is negative, y is positive. So if you want to locate a point for which value of x is negative and value y is positive, so you can tell by the values of x and y, right? You can tell in which quadrant it will lie, right? So if there is a point P2 for which the value of x is -6 and y is 4, then where it will lie? It will lie in the second quadrant. Is that clear? Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, the third quadrant. So the values of y, let me write it here, -1, -2, -3, -4. Now, look at the values of x and y. Suppose you have a point here, P3, right? So if you find out the coordinates for this point, you will find that both values x and y are here negative, right? So this is the value of y, which is -4, and this is the value of x, which is -5, right? That means what? For the third quadrant, the values of x and y both are less than 0, right? Means x is negative and y is also negative. So when the coordinates of a point are negative, both the coordinates are negative, what does it mean? It means that it will lie in the third quadrant. Is that clear? Is it clear? Anvi? Sama?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Similarly, the fourth quadrant.
Yes, ma'am.
For the fourth quadrant, if you look at, suppose we have a point here, right, P4, right? And if you just find out the coordinate for this point and draw perpendicular over the two axes, you will find the value of x is positive, but the value of y is negative, right? So for the fourth quadrant, x is positive, means greater than 0, and y is less than 0, means x is positive, but y is negative. So for a point, if you want to locate it, and for this point, the coordinate is like x is positive, but y is negative, it will lie in the fourth quadrant, right? Okay, so these are the quadrants, okay? And the coordinate axes divide the Cartesian plane into 4 regions, which are called quadrants, right? And we can see the different values of x and y, right, in these 4 quadrants. I hope this is clear to you. Now, suppose we have to plot the points, okay? So let's take an example, a question. Plot the given points on the plane of a graph paper. Okay. First is A. Point A is 5, 3. B -3, 2. Third.
Ma'am, should I write the questions?
Yes, you have to write the question. Please take out your graph copy. And 4. D 2, -6. So these are the 4 points which you have to plot on the graph paper. So we have to plot these points on the plane of a graph paper, right? So what is the first step? We will draw the two axes, x-axis and the y-axis, right? This is your x-axis. This is your y-axis. Okay. This is your origin, point of intersection of the two axes. So this is x, O, x dash. Similarly, y, O, y dash. First, mark the values. Now, while writing the values here, okay, you have to take the scale. Guys, look at the screen. Suppose here, I'm taking this one square box, right? 1 centimeter box, this one, as one unit. Okay, then this would be your second. 1, 2, 3, okay, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, right? Similarly, on the other side, -1. They should be equidistant. Remember, they should be equidistant. -3, -4, whatever scale you have taken, accordingly you have to write down these values. -6, -7. Now, similarly on the y-axis, again, I'm taking 1 centimeter square box as 1 unit. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, and this is 5. Similarly, in the opposite direction, -1, -2, -3, -4, and -5. Okay. This is -5. Okay. Now, so here we can change the coordinate of D point, as I'm not able to plot. I do not have that scale, right? So I'm writing here is -5. So you can change accordingly. If you have, then you can plot that D point. Okay, now see the first point, A point. What are the coordinates of A point? When we say A 5, 3, A 5, 3, what does it mean? Its x coordinate is 5 and y coordinate is 3. Getting that?
Ma'am,
Okay.
but A is point A.
Pardon?
A means the point, right?
A is the point and 5, 3 are the coordinates. So this is the way we are writing the point, right? Okay, that's how you will locate it on the graph, in the plane of the graph paper, right? So if you do not know the coordinates, you will not be able to locate it, right? You cannot plot it, right? So if I say, okay, and we plot x, the point y, suppose, or plot the point z. So what you will ask, ma'am, where it is, right? Right? So if we want to locate a point, suppose we want to locate z. So I should know what is the value of x coordinate and y coordinate for this point. If I don't know, then I'll not be able to locate this, right? Okay, where it lies actually, right? So for A point, x coordinate is 5 and y is 3, right? So now, as you can see, x and y both are positive, right? So in which quadrant it will lie? Can you tell me? In which quadrant it will lie? In the first, second, third, or fourth? Pardon?
First.
In the first quadrant, because both values are positive. So this will lie in the first quadrant. So this is your first quadrant, right? Okay, now see what is the value of x. So just look at here on the x-axis. Go to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is your 5. Okay, getting it?
Yeah.
And y is 3. So this is your 3. This is 5 and this is 3. Right? So y is 3, x is 5. Getting that? Now, what we will do? We will take a line, right? Perpendicular over this, over the 5, right? You can use the scale to draw this dotted line. I'm not having here the dotted scale. So I'm using the bold line. Okay. So now see here. So this point, this line, vertical line, which I'm taken from 5 in the upward direction. And this is 3. This is the value. y equal to 3. Right? So if you draw the lines passing this 5 and 3, you will see that they are actually meeting at a point, right? And this point is your A point, whose coordinates are
I'm
5,
done.
3. Okay? Right? So this is how we have to plot the point on the graph paper. Is that clear? Okay, so this is the A point. Somehow are you getting that? Now, second one, B is minus 3, 2. Right? So can you tell me in which quadrant it will lie? Means X coordinate is negative, but Y is positive. So in which quadrant it will lie?
It will lie in second.
Second quadrant, right? In second quadrant, the value of X is negative and Y is positive, right? So now let's see. So what is the value of X coordinate? It is minus 3. So first go to minus 3. So this is your minus 3. And 2. Y coordinate is 2. So go to here. Right? Now draw the lines perpendicular over these values of X and Y. Right? Okay, so this is the perpendicular line here at minus 3. Similarly, you will draw here. Okay. And you can see that it is meeting, these two lines are meeting at a point, right? And this point is B, whose coordinate is minus 3, comma. Okay. I hope you're getting this. Yes or no? So this is your second quadrant, right? So B point lies in the second quadrant. Now, coming to the third point, C point. Coordinates of C are minus 5, minus 4. Means both X coordinate and Y coordinate are negative. So in which quadrant it will lie? In which quadrant both values are negative? In the this and this, right? In this region, right? That is the
Third.
third quadrant. So now the C point will lie in the third quadrant, right? Now again look at the values. X is minus 5. So first go to minus 5. This is your minus 5. And Y is minus 4. Now go to minus 4. This is your minus 4. Okay. Now draw the lines from here. You can use the dotted lines. And go till minus 4. Please use the sharpened pencil to do this. Similarly, you can go this side. Okay. And this will touch minus 4 on the y-axis. So now you can see that these two lines are meeting at a point here. And this point is your C point, whose coordinates are minus 5, comma, minus 4. Right? So we have plotted the point C on the plane of graph paper, and it is lying in the third quadrant. Is that clear? Yes or no? Now look at the D point. These are the coordinate for D point. 2, comma, minus 5. So X coordinate is positive, which is 2, and Y coordinate is negative, which is minus 5. So in which quadrant this point will lie? X is positive, Y is negative. So in this region, your X will be positive and Y will be negative, right? So the D point will lie in the fourth quadrant. Okay, now let's locate the point. So the X coordinate is 2. So first go to 2 on the X axis. This is X equal to 2. Now go to minus 5 on the Y axis. This is your minus 5. Now draw the lines perpendicular over these points, right? Okay. So this is 2. Go till minus 5 here. Now similarly you can draw here. Okay. So now you can see that they are meeting at a point here. And this point is your D, whose coordinate is 2, comma, minus 5. So x is positive, y is negative, right? So therefore this D point lies in fourth quadrant, right? So this is the way how to plot the points on the plane of the graph paper. And this plane of the graph paper is representing Cartesian plane. What it is representing? Cartesian plane. Okay. Right, where we have two coordinates for each point, right? There are two axes, x-axis and y-axis, which are mutually perpendicular to each other. And these two axes divide this whole plane into four regions. Each region is called a quadrant. And that's why there are four quadrants. In the first quadrant, the value of x coordinate and y coordinate both are positive. In second quadrant, value of x coordinate is negative, but y is positive. Third quadrant, both x and y are negative. And for the fourth quadrant, y is negative, but x is positive. Is that clear? Put the heading, points on coordinate axis. Points on coordinate axis. Okay. Point on coordinate axis. In this, the first is coordinates of the points on the x-axis. Coordinates of the point on the x-axis. Now, what are the meaning of points on coordinate axis? Now look at this Cartesian plane, right? So these coordinate axis divides the plane into four quadrants, right? But it is possible that some of the points lie on the axis, right? On the y-axis, point is lying, or on the x-axis, exactly x-axis, the point can lie, right? Okay, so now in this topic, we are going to discuss what will be the coordinate of the point if they are on the coordinate axis. Means या तो वो x-axis के ऊपर है point या वो y के ऊपर. Okay, so let's see if the coordinate, how to find the coordinate of the point if it is lying on the x-axis, right? So what will happen if the point is lying on the x-axis? Means for this point,
Y equals to 0.
yeah, every point which is lying on the x-axis is at a distance of 0 unit from the x-axis. Yes or no? Right? Write down every point on the x-axis is at a distance of 0 unit from the x-axis. क्योंकि x-axis के ऊपर है तो उसका distance x-axis से क्या होगा? 0 होगा. What does it mean? Its ordinate is 0. And what is ordinate? What is ordinate? What is ordinate? Coordinate is the y coordinate. Are you getting that? Means its y coordinate will always be 0. Okay, so if there is a point which is lying on the x-axis, the value for the y coordinate will always be 0, right? Okay, so the coordinate of every point on the x-axis is of the form x comma 0, right? form coordinate of every point, okay, on the x-axis. Means value of x will be different, but value of y will always be 0. Is that clear? Am I getting that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So if there is any point which is lying on the x-axis, for this point, its ordinate is 0. Ordinate is 0 means its y coordinate will be 0, right? Because the distance of this point from x-axis is always 0. And this distance of the point from the x-axis is the y coordinate. Is that clear? Second is coordinate of the points on the y-axis. In the first one, coordinate of the point on the x-axis, if we have the points like 2, 0, okay, minus 3, 0, 5, 0, minus 10, 0. These are the points which always lie on the x-axis, right? Okay, means the value of x is changing, but y coordinate is always 0 and it will lie on the x-axis. Now, coordinate of the points on the y-axis. So every point, write down, every point on the y-axis, every point on the y-axis is at a distance of 0 unit from the y-axis. Yes or no? If point is on the y-axis, then its distance from the y-axis is 0. That means what? Its abscissa is 0. Okay? So its abscissa is 0. That is, x coordinate for such point will always be 0. Okay? So if there is a point which is lying on the y-axis, its x coordinate will always be 0. Right? So it is of the form 0, y. Right? X coordinate will always be 0. Y can be different. Okay? Right? So example 0, 5, 0, minus 3, 0, 6. These are all the points which are lying on the y-axis. Is that clear? Now, what will be the coordinate of the origin? Can you tell me? Coordinate of the origin. What is origin? Hmm?
0.
Only 0?
0.
0, 0. Right? So coordinate of the origin is always 0, 0. So if you look at this graph, this point O in the middle, you can see here. What is the value of x and y coordinate here? It is 0 and 0, right? So what is the coordinate of this point, which is at the origin? This is 0, 0. Is that clear? So 0,
Yes, ma'am.
0 is the point which is origin, where the two coordinate axes are meeting and the y coordinate and x coordinate both are 0 at this point. Is this clear to you? No. Suppose So let's first see, like, you know, what are the points? Okay, so now we have a Cartesian plane, right? We have two axes here, x-axis, y-axis, and I have marked the values here. Now, what are the points which will lie on x and y-axis, right? Suppose I'm saying that there is a point here. I'm using a different color to show you, right? So the points which will lie on the x-axis can be this, right? Okay, just a second. Yeah, this point. Okay, or maybe this point, or maybe this point. Okay, these are the points which are lying on the x-axis. Yes or no? Sama, are you getting that? Right. So
Yes,
if
ma'am.
we find the coordinates for these points, right? Suppose this is P1. So what will be the coordinate for this point? What is the x coordinate here? 1. The value of x is 1. And what is the value of y? What is the value of y? Take a line perpendicular on the y-axis from this point, right? This is y. Y is 0.
From where?
Can you tell me? Yes or no? Are you getting that? So what will be the coordinate for this P1? 1, 0. Similarly, suppose this one, this point P2. What will be the coordinate? Value of x is 4 here, and the value of y. Again, take the perpendicular line over the y-axis. You will see that it will touch 0 on the y-axis. So it is 0 here, right? Similarly, for this point, third one, P3, suppose the coordinates will be 6, 0. So any point. So what it shows that any point of the x-axis, y coordinate is 0. Similarly, here on the other side, suppose this is P4, right? So what will be the coordinate? X coordinate is -3 and the y coordinate is 0. So for all these points, similarly here, P5, y x coordinate is -5 and y coordinate is 0. So for all these points, P1, P2, P3, P4, P5, the y coordinate is 0. Means they are lying on the x axis, right? Similarly, if suppose we have some other points, okay, suppose we have here this one, this one, this one, okay. Now, if we find out the coordinates for this point, suppose this is P1, right? So P1, what is the coordinate for this point P1? Can you tell me? Yes, Anvi. What is the coordinate for P1?
The coordinate,
Yes.
like this one, right? On the x-axis 1.
P1, green wala P1. Okay, let me denote with some other letter. Suppose this is S1. Yes, tell me. What is the coordinate for S1?
Oh, it is 1, 4.
1, 4? How? No, you are not understanding this, right?
Oh,
Ma'am,
I thought it was over there. It's 0, 4. Huh.
Yes, Sama, what is it?
0, 4.
0, 4, right? Okay, so you can just read the value of x for this point, right? Okay, so it is 0, right? You can take a perpendicular line over here and you can see what is the value of x. It is 0, right? So 0, 4. Getting it?
But
Similarly,
what
for this
does
point,
one mean?
pardon? Do you have
What
any
is
doubt?
1?
What is 1 means S1 is just the name, okay? S2. Now, suppose there is another point S2. What will be the coordinate for this? Sama, what is the coordinate for the point S2? 0,
2.
2. Okay. Similarly, for this point S3. Yes, Anvi. What is it? For S3.
S3 it will be 0 comma minus 2.
0 comma minus 2. Similarly, S4, Sama, what are the coordinates of point S4?
0, minus 4.
0 comma minus 4. So you can see all the points which are lying on the y-axis, S1, S2, S3, S4. These are the points which are lying on the y-axis, have its x coordinate 0. Is that clear? X coordinate is 0, right? X coordinate means abscissa. Abscissa is 0 for all these points. Similarly, for the points P1, P2, P3, P4, and P5, ordinate is 0. Okay, right? So this is how we can see like what are the points which are lying on the x-axis and the y-axis. Now, again, we have seen that there is a Cartesian plane where we have two coordinate axes, x-axis, y-axis, right? Now you can see a line here, line in red color, right? Okay. Now, there are multiple points on the line, yes or no? So how many points can be there on a line? Can you tell me that? How many points are there on a line?
There are infinite.
Infinite, right? So there can be infinite number of points on the lines, whether it is x-axis line or a y-axis line or some other line, as you can see here, the line in red color, right? Now suppose there are points which are lying on this line, right? Okay, and these points are, suppose I'm talking about for this point, right? Or this point, this point, this point. Similarly here, let me take some example this side, this, and this, right? Just find out the coordinate for this point which are present on this line. Okay, so suppose this is point A, B, C, D, E, F, and G, right? So what are the coordinate for A? Can you tell me? What is the coordinate for the point A? Quickly.
1, 3.
Coordinate of A is 1, 3. Coordinate of B, Anbi,
2 comma 3.
2, 3. C, Sama. Coordinate for C,
3, 3.
3, 3. For D,
4, 3.
4, 3. Similarly, this side for E,
Minus 2.5 comma 3.
3. For F, minus 3.5, 3. Right?
But
And for
solve
G, minus 4.5, 3. Now look at these, the coordinate of these points. Can you see something special here? Can you see something special here?
Yes, ma'am.
What is that?
The value of y is always 3 only.
The value of y is 3 every time. So whatever the points which are lying on this line, the value of y is same. It is 3. It is a constant, right? Okay. So whatever is the coordinate of x means the value of x is changing on the right side and the left side of points, but the value of y is not changing, right? So this type of lines which are having a fixed value of a coordinate, this time it is having the fixed value of the y coordinate. Such line is parallel to x-axis. Okay, and we say that this line is a line for y is equal to 3. Means value of y is a constant. Okay, means whatever will be the value of x, the value of y will be constant, right? And when you locate such points and when you join these points to draw a line, you will find that line is parallel to x-axis. Are you getting my point? Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
Anvi, are you getting that? So if you have a constant value for a coordinate, right? If y is a constant value, right? The line, if you draw the line, if you plot the points for such coordinate, right? You will find that line is parallel to x-axis. It will be parallel to x-axis, right? So when we say y is equal to 3, that will be a line at y is equal to 3 parallel to x-axis. Okay, it means that all the points which will be lying on this line, the value of y always remains constant. Is that clear? So whenever the value of y is constant and the value of x is changing, and if you plot such point, you will find a line which is parallel to the x-axis, right? So what is the equation for this line? The equation of the line is y is equal to 3, right? Okay, so for this it is y is equal to 3, right? Now if we talk about this line, right? Suppose I'm taking here, this is the line for y is equal to 1, right? So this is the line for y is equal to 1. Similarly, this third line, this is the line for y is equal to -4. So you can see that the value of y is a constant. So for all the points which will lie on this line, the value of y will be same. I hope you're getting this. Yes, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.